Good morning, students. In the last two classes, we read the chapter number 1, The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, from the book Snapshot. And today we are going to finish this chapter. This is the last part of the chapter. This is page number 6, maybe second last paragraph that we read yesterday. In this chapter, we have read till now that there are two Armenian boys. They always wished to have horse ride. They always wished to go for horse riding, and one of them, the elder one, whose name was Murad, he got a horse somehow, and he wanted Aram also to enjoy some rides on that horse. And then they started hiding it somewhere for some days now. For last some days, they have continued taking these rides. And one day, what actually happened? Their uncle Khosrov, he actually was sitting in the parlor, and an Assyrian whose name was John Byro, he came to their house. And uh, as we know that this man Uncle Khosrov, he was actually the best example of that crazy streak that was to be found in some of the people of Geroglanian tribe. He again and again got irritated, and he was always stopping people from speaking. He made them silent by saying, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." So I am reading from the second last paragraph again that we read yesterday also. That afternoon, my uncle Khosrov came to our house for coffee. Now, one afternoon, the Uncle Khosrov, the uncle of Aram, he came to his house for some coffee and cigarette, and he was sitting in the parlor. He was enjoying cigarette or maybe tobacco and sipping some coffee, and he was remembering about the past at that time. Then another visitor came, and his name was John Byro. He was not an Armenian. He was from a neighboring country. The name of the country was Assyria, and from Assyria he had come. But out of loneliness, means because he was feeling very lonely, he had learned Armenian also, because without speaking the language, he was not able to mix up with the other people. My mother bought the lonely coffee, visitor coffee, and tobacco, means some coffee and tobacco was given to this visitor also. The name of this visitor was John Byro, and he rolled a cigarette and started sipping and smoking. And at last, he said, very sadly, he said, "My white horse, which was stolen last month, is still gone. I cannot understand it." Means he actually wanted to tell, and he wanted to share his grief. He wanted to tell them that he had lost his only horse, and it was a beautiful white horse that was stolen maybe a month ago, and he was not able to understand where he had, or that horse had gone. My uncle Khosrov became irritated. Now again and again, this man Uncle Khosrov, he always got irritated, and because of irritation, he again shouted at the visitor, "It's no harm. What is the loss of a horse? Haven't we all lost the homeland? What is this crying over a horse?" Means he wanted to tell him that they had lost their homeland also. Their country was lost by them. So to lose a horse is nothing. It doesn't matter at all. "That may be all right for you, a city dweller, to say," John Byro said. "But what of my sarre?" Please underline this word, sarre. Sarre here means carriage, जिसको हम गाड़ी बोलते हैं, बैलगाड़ी kind of thing. So a sarre was there, and he wanted to tell, he wanted to ask that because his horse was lost, he could not manage, because his sarre, his carriage, was of no use. It became useless. His carriage became useless because without a horse, it is of, you can say, no use after that. It became a wasteful thing. What good is a sarre about without a horse? He wanted to ask. And he was not a city dweller. He wanted to tell that because he was a person who was residing in a countryside means in village area. That is why he knew how important his horse was for a sarre. "Pay no attention to it," my uncle Khosrov wrote. But Uncle Khosrov again said his catch line. Catch line means the things which he would be saying again and again. So he said that catch line again and that catch phrase, and he said, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." "I walked 10 miles to get there," John Byro said. John Byro told him that because he had no horse now, so his surrey was not of use, and that is why he had to walk a lot. He couldn't go in that conveyance anymore. So he says that John Byro should walk. And John Byro told him that he had to walk 10 miles that day. "You have legs," my Uncle Khosrow shouted. Uncle Khosrow told him that you have legs, you should walk. What is the problem? Means Uncle Khosrow is such an impatient and irritable man. He never wants to understand the problems of others. Now this is page number 7. "My left leg pains me," the farmer said. The farmer, John Byro, told him that he had some pain in his left leg. "Pay no attention to it," my Uncle Khosrow wrote. But Uncle Khosrow, again a very unique character, he said, "You should not pay any attention to your pain." "That horse cost me $60, the farmer said. The farmer told him that it actually costed $60 to him. "I spit on money," my Uncle Khosrow wrote. But Khosrow, he said that he spit on money and he was not ready to understand the problem of John Byro. He got up and stalked out of the house, slamming the door. And at last, Khosrow walked out of the room, and he walked out very angrily and maybe in a very proud way. My mother explained, "He has a gentle heart." He here means Uncle Khosrow. Uncle Khosrow was brother of Aram's mother. So she wants to tell the people that her brother, Uncle Khosrow, had a very gentle heart. He was a very generous man. He was a very kind-hearted man, she said. It is simply that he is homesick and such a large man. Because he is such a large man and because he was feeling homesick. Homesick means he was always missing his country land because they had to leave their country some years ago. That is why he was always missing it. That is why he had become irritable or impatient. But on the other hand, she wants to tell the people that her brother was a very kind-hearted man. He was a very good man. The farmer went away and I ran over to my cousin Murad's house. And when the farmer left the house, Aram also straight away ran to Murad's house because he wanted to give that information to him that he actually came to know that that horse which was now, you can say, on which they were taking these rides, it was actually owned by, or maybe the rightful owner was John Byro, and he was searching for his horse. The farmer went away and I ran to my cousin Murad's house. He was sitting under a peach tree. And then this is again a very unique thing about cousin Murad. He was such a different personality. He was having that crazy streak in his character. He was sitting under a peach tree trying to repair the hurt wing of a young robin. Young robin here means a young bird. Robin is a bird. So a small bird was actually badly injured and he was hurt. And this boy, Murad, who was 13 years old, he was sitting under a tree, under a peach tree, and he was trying to repair. He wanted to give some kind of medication to the hurt wing of a young robin, a young bird, which could not fly because he couldn't fly. That robin was badly hurt and injured, and Murad was trying to medicate it. He was talking to the bird, and not only he was trying to mend, not only he was trying to repair his wings, but he was talking to the bird. Murad was talking. "What is it?" he said. The farmer John Byro, and when he saw that Aram was, you can say, running towards him, he asked him what was the problem, why he was running hard. "The farmer John Byro," I said, and Aram told him that he wants to tell him about John Byro, who was a farmer. "He visited our house. He wants his horse. You have had it a month. I want you to promise not to take it back until I learn to ride." Now this is very important line. You have had it a month. Now he had understood it. He had come to learn this, that this horse was stolen or taken by Murad a month ago. and I want you to promise not to take it back until I learn to ride. Now, this is again very important because Aram wanted a promise from Murad. He told him and he asked him not to return the horse until and unless he would not be able to learn to ride, because he also wanted to learn horse riding, and before learning it they should not return it back to the rightful owner, John Byro. It will take you a year to learn to ride, but Murad wants to tell him that maybe it would take a long time to learn to ride, and my cousin Murad said this to him. We could keep the horse a year, I said. But again and again, Aram was trying to make him understand that they are not going to return the horse at all, and they should keep it until and unless Aram would not be able to become a good rider. My cousin Murad leaped to his feet, means he jumped, means he stood on his feet. What? He roared. Are you inviting a member of Geroglanian family to steal? The horse must go back to its true owner. But now this is very unique, on the very different on the part of Murad. Murad wanted to blame Aram for asking a Geroglanian member or member of a Geroglanian family to steal, because according to him Aram was asking Murad not to give the horse back, and it means that he was asking him to steal. The horse must go back to its true owner, and now Murad seemed very determined, and he wanted to give or hand over the horse back to the rightful owner, that is John Byro. When I said, and then Aram wanted to know when they are going to return it. In 6 months at the latest, he said. But again, Murad surprised him by telling him that for 6 more months they are going to keep the horse. He threw the bird into the air. The bird tried hard, almost fell twice, but at last flew away high and straight. And at last the bird was mended and he was taken care of by Murad, and Murad had given some kind of treatment, medical treatment to him. And after that, the bird, maybe trying to have a good leap, to have a good fly, and he was successful in it, and he went high and straight into the air and went away, flew and flown away. Early every morning for 2 weeks, my cousin Murad and I took the horse out of the barn of the deserted vineyard where we were hiding it and rode it. Means every morning for more, you can say after that also, for 2 weeks, for more than 14 days, they always kept that horse inside the barn, and they were hiding it every morning, and every morning they were taking those horse rides also. And every morning the horse, when it was my turn to ride alone, leaped over grapevines and small trees and threw me and ran away. And for those 14 days he was always thrown and the horse was running away. Means Aram was not able to get successful in getting a successful ride. He was not going to become a good rider. Nevertheless, means in spite of all this, I hoped in time to learn to ride the way my cousin Murad rode. But always he was very, you can say, cheerful. He was very hopeful. He had that optimistic attitude, and Aram thought that one day he would also become a very good rider like Murad. One morning on the way to Fetwajian's deserted vineyard, we ran into the farmer John Byro, who was on his way to town. Now, one day, an unusual or maybe coincidentally, they met with each other. Means these two people, when they had hidden the horse into the Fetwajia vineyard, and they were coming back, and on the way, they met with John Byro. Let me do the talking, my cousin Murad. I have a way with farmers. And he said, let me do the talking. Means Murad wanted to give instructions to Aram, and he wants to tell him that Aram should not speak. because they were going to meet, because they were going to have a chat, have a discussion with John Byro, because they had a chance meeting with him. And before meeting him, Murad wants to assure that Aram should not speak, because according to Murad, he was experienced one, and he knew how to handle these kind of situations. And he also again said the same thing, or maybe he also had an a kind of you can say line that was repeated by him again and again. And what was that line? I have a way with farmers. He again boasted of himself, and he said, I have a way with means he had you can say he had known, or he knew how to handle the farmers. He knew this. Good morning, John Byro, my cousin Murad said to the farmer. The farmer studied the horse eagerly. Now, the farmer actually saw the horse, and he knew something. What? That maybe this was the horse that was stolen some months ago or some days ago from him. Good morning, son of my friends, he said. What is the name of your horse? He wanted to ask them that what was the name of the horse. My heart, my cousin Murad said in Armenian. And Murad, you can say, replied, and he said in Armenian that the name of the horse was My Heart. And sorry, I have told you that they had kept the horse somewhere, but no, it was actually not hidden till now, and they were going to the Fitwajia vineyard maybe, or they were coming from it, but they had that horse with them. A lovely name, John Byro said, for a lovely horse. I could swear it. It is the horse that was stolen from me some many weeks ago. May I look into his mouth? Now, John Byro was quite sure. He wanted to know whether that was the same horse which was stolen from him some weeks ago or not. And for that, he wanted to investigate. He wanted to see inside the mouth. He wanted to count the teeth maybe of the horse, and he wanted permission from these people. Of course, Murad said. Murad gave him permission, yet yes, he could look inside the mouth. The farmer looked into the mouth of the horse. Tooth for tooth, he said. Now this is very important. Tooth for tooth means exactly the same. It means that it was his horse which was stolen some weeks ago. I would swear it is my horse if I did not know your parents. Now, this line is very important, because we have already understood, we have already read that Geroglanian people, they were known for their trustworthiness, for their loyalty, for their honesty, and no one could have any kind of doubt on them. Nobody could think like this, that a Geroglanian could be a thief. And that is why, even though John Byro came to know that this was his horse which was stolen by these boys only some days ago, but he did not want to blame them, and he wanted to tell them that if it would have been stolen by anybody else, he could believe that. But because they were Geroglanian, he was not ready to believe it. And he knew that their parents or their family or their tribe was known to be trustworthy and honest, full of honesty. The fame of your family for honesty is well known to me. Means he wanted to tell them, these boys, that they were known for their honesty, and their family also, their tribe also. Yet the horse is twin of my horse. But this horse was very similar to his own horse. A suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart. Good day, my young friends. And then at last he wanted to tell them, because he was suspicious, because he was always doubting the people that maybe somebody or the other would have stolen his horse. But now he was not believing his heart, but maybe if a suspicious man would have seen this horse, he would have believed his eyes instead of his heart. But he was not actually, you can say, believing his eyes. He was believing his heart this time, because his heart and his inner sight was trying to tell him that Geroglanian people could not be a thief. They could not steal anything. And that is why he you can say, wanted to drag away those thoughts which were telling him that he should be a suspicious man, or he should have a doubt on the Geruglian people. So he drove away those thoughts. Good day, my young friends. And then he went away. Good day, John Byro, my cousin Murad said. Early the morning, following morning, we took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and put it in the barn. The dogs followed us around without making a sound. And early next morning, now these two people, Aram and Murad, they took the horse and they wanted to keep it inside the place which belonged to John Byro. Means they had the intention to return it to the rightful owner. And early morning, they took that horse to the vineyard that belonged to John Byro and put it inside the storehouse, inside the barn. The dogs followed us around. Means they were followed by some dogs. The dogs were following them without making a sound. The dogs, I whispered, my cousin Murad. I thought they would bark. Now, he said, Aram told him that because they were being followed by some dogs and they could be caught by the people if these dogs would bark. Agar kutte bhonkenge and the people would come to know that somebody was there or some people were there, they would be caught. They would at somebody else. But again, what is said by Murad here, he again showed that crazy streak and said his catch line again. And what was his catchphrase? I have a way with dogs. He again said the same thing, that because he knew how to handle dogs, he knew how to deal with dogs, these dogs are not going to bark. My cousin Murad put his arms around the horse, pressed his nose into the horse's nose, patted it, and then he went away. And at last, what was done? Murad and Aram, they kept the horse inside the barn that belonged to John Byro, and at last they said goodbye to the horse. Murad actually hugged that horse and he touched his nose also and he patted it, and at last they went away. That afternoon, John Byro came to our house in his surrey. Surrey means in his carriage. Why? Because now the carriage was walkable, it was movable because of the horse, because he had got the horse back. So he came in his surrey, in his carriage, वो अपनी घोड़ा गाड़ी में आया, and showed my mother the horse that had been stolen and returned, and he wanted to show that horse to Aram's mother. I do not know what to think, he said. The horse is stronger than ever. But he actually wanted to thank those people who kept this horse for some days or for some months, because now he found that the horse was stronger and well behaved also and better controlled. He says that the horse was stronger, it was better tempered, and I thank God, my uncle Khosrow, and he was thanking God. But Uncle Khosrow, who was in the parlor, who was in the drawing room, became irritated and shouted. But again and again, Khosrow showed that crazy streak in him, and he was always irritated and ill-tempered or never wanted to listen to anybody. And he shouted, quiet, man, quiet means be silent. Your horse has been returned, pay no attention to it. Again, he said that catch line, and he said that now you don't have to speak anything because you have got your horse, so please be silent and go away from here. So with this, we have read this chapter, and I hope you would have got an idea about the Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, about Geruglian people, about these two unique brothers, cousins, Aram and Murad. Now in the next class, we'll discuss the question answers. You will get some text also. Till then, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay home. Bye-bye.